When your grandpappy was a young man hunting whitetails, he probably did it without hearing protection, and for a very good reason. He wanted to be able to hear every leaf crunch, every slide in the grass. He wanted to be able to hear the wheezes and grunts and be able to figure out where the animal was so that he actually could shoot it with that big old 30-06. But then that's the problem. You get to that 30-06 shot and you start damaging your hearing by degrees. And by the time you are a grandpappy, you can't hear the grandkids anymore. Now for myself, I want my ears to be working when I am a grandfather, and these things right here are going to help a lot. And in the past, you had those kind of passive earplugs or over-the-ear protectors, and yes, they do ruin your chances of hearing everything around you. But that era is over. It is time to look into electronic hearing protection that not only is going to make it so you can still hear that deer rustling around in the grass, but you can actually hear him better than you could even with your natural ears. It's time to get into these, preserve the hearing, and be able to hear better on the hunt. So what I have here on the bench are a couple of my favorite items, and I'm going to start out with my very favorite. I have talked about these in several videos already, and I'm just going to double down on this again. My buddy Cole, I lent these to him while we were out hunting up north, and he really liked these. He was going to go just open so that he could hear the deer, but I gave these to him, and he's going to go buy himself a pair. Actually, he's going to get the next generation up, which we're going to talk about. But these just use a couple of AAA batteries, and they have two microphones built into the front here. These have a wonderful kind of naturally shaped cup that goes entirely around the ear. You can see the shape here. So it's not the old oval style. This actually does fit very neatly around the ear itself, seals up really well, prevents a lot of those nasty sounds from getting in and damaging your ears. But then one of the greatest things about these is it creates a stereo field that really feels like you were just sitting there. There have been plenty of times I've been out hunting wearing these, and I forget that I'm wearing them. I can just hear everything so naturally. I can hear, if something just starts scuffling right down here, like if I'm in a tree stand and I hear something down here, I can just look straight, and there it is. There's a squirrel that is starting to dig something up down in the grass. These have a wonderfully realistic sound, rich stereo field, and I can hear everything that's going on. Now these, the Champion Vanquish, these run about 55 bucks. And they do actually have an input here if you want to line in audio. I think this takes TRRS, the 1/8 inch inputs. So you can actually line in a radio if you want to be able to use these as comms. It'll pick up your voice through here. And yeah, you can actually kind of use these as communication devices so you can hear through that. But then they do have two other models that I'd like to mention. If you want to take that price tag up, I think for about 120 bucks, you can get a model, well, two different models. There's one of them that has actually 5 microphones that go around in here, and it's going to pick up an insane field. I thought that these were good. I'd love to try those multiple microphone ones to see what those sound like, because I imagine that they're going to be using either some kind of phase distortion sort of thing inside. There's some kind of phase processing inside here to send that information to the ear, or it could be using multiple drivers. I'm kind of curious, but it should pick up an even better full stereo, or kind of a quadraphonic sort of field. Decaphonic, it'll be picking up a lot of information and sending it to the ears so that you can hear absolutely everything exactly where it's supposed to be. And then there's another model, a lot like this one, that has Bluetooth as well, so that you can actually just have your phone or other kind of Bluetooth enabled device, and you can be chatting with other folks. Like if you want to be able to communicate about the movement of deer, maybe you have a buddy that's on the other end of the field. You can just be talking back and forth to each other very quietly. You can just whisper a little bit and you can send that data back and forth. Now, one of the things that I mentioned is that you can actually hear better than you would in real life. These all have some kind of amplification technology so that I can actually crank this up past what my ears would normally be able to hear. I can hear a squirrel not just, kind of digging around at the base of my ladder stand. If I crank this up, I can hear one scratching 100 yards away out on the other side of the field. They are incredible. It's a real advantage to us as hunters to be able to hear exactly what's going on in the environment, and we can kind of choose. If it's really windy, we can dial it back a little bit. If it's really quiet, then we can crank it up and be able to hear every little thing that's going on. And that applies to these as well. Now, I said that these are my favorites. These are the over-the-heads. They do block out a whole lot of sound. My second favorites are these. These are the Axil GS Extreme. That stands for Ghost Strike. These are battery powered. You just plug it into a USB port. It just takes the USB-D, you plug it in, and this will charge. And it's gonna last for, I don't know, probably about 6 hours, somewhere in there. You can have a whole day of hunting and be able to hear all the same sort of stuff. Now these, as you can see, they plug into the ear. It just fits neatly into the ear canal like an earplug. It has either foam or silicone baffle type. It's going to come with both. You're going to slide those on there. And this is actually designed by a hearing aid company, so you get a pretty high quality sound. Now, I will say that the drivers in here sound great, especially when you are connected to Bluetooth. So if you want to be able to listen to music for some reason while you're out, well, okay, maybe not while you're hunting, but in the off hours, you can be listening to some tunes on your phone or other Bluetooth-enabled device, and it's going to sound fantastic. These have a good low-end response. The drivers actually sound really good. But the microphones, I will say, I mentioned this in the full review that I'm going to put a link to up here. These have a little bit of, the microphones really pick up a lot of the high end. They don't pick up a lot of the lows. So if you want to pick up the grunts, these will do better. But if you want to hear a lot of the grass rustling and all that, these are going to do fine. So you'll be able to hear most things, but it is going to roll off that low end. I just wanted to let you know exactly what it sounds like. And it's just because of the size of the microphones. They're just these teeny little dots in there. Just like with the Champions, you can choose what loudness you want, so you can actually crank this up so you can hear more, hear less. You can dial it back if it's really windy that day. And then on this side, you get similar controls. So you can switch on the Bluetooth if you want to connect to your phone or other device. Daisy, crazy girl. And then you can dial this up and down. And it'll actually kind of mix the two. You can hear both at the same time. You can be listening to your comms device and actually have the hearing protection going at the same time. Really cool. So yeah, highly recommended. And these run, I can't remember, but I'm going to put the price tag right down here. One of the greatest things about these, as you can imagine, is that they are ridiculously portable. It comes in a tiny little case. You can just pop it into a pocket or into a hunting bag like I have here, and they're really easy to have on hand all the time. These, not so much. You can put them into a larger bag, but it's not something you can really drop into a pocket. Some other options that I will point you toward, but maybe not recommend so much for whitetail hunting, they might be good for some other kinds, are going to be the XP Reactor and the XP Defender. And what these are going to do, I talked about these in a couple different videos that I'll link to up here. These are your typical silicone baffle sort of earplugs, but they have a really cool trick. On the inside, they have this plastic body that this is not electronic. This is all just mechanical. It has something in there called dynamic mesh. But when a loud impulse sound hits these earplugs, it actually closes them. So you can see that black dot in there. There's a little membrane that you can see right through it. And when a big sound hits this, it slams shut, and then suddenly you have 33 decibels of hearing protection. This one right here is going to be very, very open. It's only going to reduce the sound by 5 decibels in its natural state. But then, yeah, it's going to slam shut when things get loud. And it does work as sounds get progressively louder. Once they start getting into that dangerous territory, then they do close up automatically and take care of things. So that's going to be for your impulse sounds and for your kind of loud ambient sounds. This one right here, the Defender, allows you to switch between 10 and 18, and then it slams shut at 33 as well. And the reason why these might not be the best for deer hunting, at least, is, yes, they work great. Yes, they're super lightweight. You can keep these on a keychain and keep them in your pocket, but they're not going to enhance your hearing at all. They're going to knock it down just a little bit. So remember that this takes things down 5 decibels. And if you want to be able to hear those ridiculously tiny sounds, those little markers out in the woods, then that's probably not going to be the best for you. It'll work. You know, if you are going really lightweight, if you want to go cheaper than the Axils here, if you want to be able to keep your price tag down and be able to protect your hearing, then yeah, go for it. These do work really well. I'll just say that they're not going to work as well as these that actually enhance your hearing at the same time. So yeah, I'll put links to everything in the description down below. Please check those out, see if there's a model that's going to work for you. I very highly recommend this for your own health and safety so that you can continue to hunt well into the future. I want you to be able to hear the animals rustling around in the underbrush now and when you are 65 years old. So thanks a lot, you guys, for watching. Thanks to Patreon folks that have made a lot of this possible. Thanks to the manufacturers that have supplied some of these things so we can test. And yeah, I'm just really happy to bring this info to you guys. I will see you in the next video. Hey, Luna!
Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to like, share, and most importantly, subscribe. Even if you didn't like this particular content, go ahead and subscribe. There's probably something coming that's more up your alley. Check out this playlist right here. This is going to have videos in a similar vein to what you just watched. These 2 videos we cherry-picked for you. And finally, the Social Regressive is on Patreon. So you can become a patron of the destructive arts and earn some goodies while helping us to provide high-quality videos just by kicking us a few bucks a month. Thanks a bunch for your patronage.